Hi, my name is Adam Bazaldua, and I am a candidate for Dallas City Council District 7. I was born and raised in DeSoto, Texas, and I've lived in District 7 for the past 6 years. I see an opportunity for change and want to represent three main priorities: affordable housing, building coalitions, and increasing transparency and accountability in our local government. For so long, we haven't had a champion worried about the working class and actually representing a voice in the southern sector at City Hall. And I want to make sure that we have that voice and a fighter who's going to challenge the narrative that has kept us down. Affordable housing is something that we have to prioritize, not only in District 7, but in the city of Dallas. We have to make sure that it's more conducive for the working class community, our teachers, our firefighters, our blue-collar families, to afford to live here in the city. And last but not least is building coalitions. For so long, we've had representation that picks one side or the other and really shoots themselves in the foot with having the people that they can work with to get things done for the district. And I want to make sure that I work with everyone around that horseshoe and anyone that needs to help me get the job done for you. So my overall plan is to put boots on the ground. I think that what we need is leadership that's going to be present within the community, that's going to promote community engagement, that's going to kickstart beautification projects, that's going to help unite some of the neighborhoods that divisions have been perpetuated in, and just make sure that there's an adequate seat at the table for all parts of the district, in the south and the east and the northeast and the southeast. All of the parts of District 7 that makes up the district has movers and shakers throughout the community. They just need leadership to help bring them together and elevate their platforms. And that's going to be my biggest and first priority. Let's just say stray dogs, for instance. I think it's a perfect example of where we could use a private partnership, where we can identify that we have not been able to handle the crisis, if you will, and we need to start holding more accountability to pet owners and animal neglect and abuse, which is what stems from the stray and loose dog situation that we have. We've made strides, and great opportunity still exists for us to be more aggressive to that issue, and I think that we need to think outside of the box when addressing that. Homelessness is similar to the approach I believe that needs to be taken, and it needs to be more of a long-term approach, where we have innovative solutions that are being used in other big cities across the country that don't just address the now, don't just Band-Aid fix it and shove them out from an overpass when the fair comes around. We need to make sure that we actually are looking at wraparound services and investing more than less than 1% of our budget to a crisis that is growing rapidly in our community and, quite frankly, all over the city. But right now, all of the resources are concentrated into one community, so homelessness is very prevalent in our district specifically. As far as the trash goes, we need to also hold accountability to our code enforcement. I want to promote organization when it comes to the neighborhood associations that we have throughout the district, and get them to campaign emails and just flood the code enforcement with requests, and start being more of a voice that's united together, so that I can represent and go and follow through and hold some accountability to these services, and hopefully be able to beef up the resources that are allocated to our areas. But in addition to that, community engagement projects and getting boots on the ground, like I said, starting initiatives where we do trash cleanups throughout the district, starting initiatives where we collaborate with our DISD middle schools and high schools and get them out on the streets for community service to help have equity and have a seat at the table also in the community, so that they can have more pride in making sure that it stays clean. Well, I am a Latino, but the diversity that makes up my life is essentially the diversity that makes up District 7. I was born and raised in DeSoto, like I said, with a Hispanic father, a white mother, and my stepfather, who raised me since I was 7, is black. Almost all of my siblings are of mixed race. I lived in Harlem, New York for almost 6 years of my adult life. I think that what's important about leadership for this specific seat is to understand the history. And it's not necessarily that we have to look a certain way to represent, but to understand why there was such a fight to get equity, to get a seat at the table, why there was such a demand for the lawsuit and the fight that got us 14-1. And the 14-1 government is something that I strongly support and I think is absolutely necessary for progress in our city. But when it comes to that question specifically, District 7, when 14-1 was created, was absolutely a black seat, if you will. Right now, I don't see it as a black seat. I see it as a minority-majority seat. And we need representation that's going to help bridge the gaps between the brown and black communities. Because quite frankly, we can be the biggest force to be reckoned with in this city. If the brown and black communities start working together and we have leadership that wants to lead and represent all of the people of District 7, we absolutely can get things done for the southern sector. We can fight against the narrative that has kept us down. We can try to repair some of the wrongs that have been done in the history of this city and what has brought us to this point. But what's going to start from that is somebody who's going to be an independent voice around that council and one who's always going to keep the constituents and the people of District 7 first. And to understand the history is to understand what needs to happen going forward in the future. I get the fears of change. I get the fears of the unknown, and I get the fears of the possible ulterior motive. But the only motive I have is to bring positive change and to help move this district forward and to help prevent gentrification and to help make sure that the communities that have been forgotten about and vulnerable for so long actually have a voice in our city government.